I'm going to mark right on the far side of the side seam, just a mark, not a line, and where the plate is. All right, now, I marked the front of the shoulder dart, the back of the shoulder dart, and now I'm going to mark the rest of the shoulder by creasing the muslin up to the armhole ridge. You can make a dot that goes through, so you see. Mark to the armhole ridge, which is 1/4 inch above the plate cross mark. And then with your fingernail, you're going to get the edge of the plate indicated on the muslin, like this, to the end of the plate. And that will give you a guide as to where the armhole ridge is, because it's 1/4 inch above the plate. So you're going to mark around
Just
the
like
armhole
dress.
ridge.
Oh, yeah. I paid attention this time to screw down up, right?
Until you get to the level of the screw. Make a cross mark. And then after you get to the level of the screw, you're going to come closer and closer and closer to the plate and the far side of the armhole where the plate ends. So you don't have a line there. There is no line. You just have a mark. You have a mark here at the bottom of the far side of the side seam and the waistline. You mark the front of the dart, the back of the dart, the vanishing point of the dart for the waist, the front of the dart, the back of the dart, the vanishing point for the shoulder dart. You mark the neck, the shoulder, the armhole, just a mark for the side seam. By the way, don't ever make a line for the waist. The waist is not a straight line. The waist is curved. In fact, the body is a series of curves. There's no straight lines. It's just, if you look at it from the side, you see it's a series of curves. Okay. I want to know if there are any questions before I take this off. Are there any questions?
At the armhole, when you're marking it, you mark 1/4 inch away from the edge up until, or down to the point of the screw,
And then it gets closer and closer
blend it into
to the
point.
plate.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions? Anybody? Don't be afraid to ask me questions. That's what I'm here for, is to answer your questions. Okay? Now, I'm taking it off. Now I have all the information here. So, I could start taking the pins out. Okay, there is my map. This is my map. So the first thing I'm going to do let's see what's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to join the markings at my neck into a curve. And then at center front, I'm going to drop the neck 1/4 inch. I would like you to come up here, please. I want, if you can't see, I want you up here. You have to drop the neck 1/4 inch for a jewel neck, which this is a jewel neck. Because otherwise, no matter how gorgeous the dress is, if it starts choking the person, they're gonna take the dress off. So you have to make it so that they can breathe. So we drop from Mrs. Sizes 1/4 inch below the neck seam on the form. Then we take the curve again, and from the drop, we keep it on straight grain for 1/4 inch, and we reconnect that drop back to the curve at the side of the neck. Okay? The next thing, you can mark the shoulder part of the way, just part of the way. Okay. Now you made 2 marks for the shoulder dart. At the first mark, which is closest to center front, you're going to draw a line at the first mark of the dart on the shoulder to the apex, like this. Now the reason for that is, when I draw the second line in, I want to make sure that it's angled directly to the apex when I draw in the other dart leg. You got that? You have a question?
No. I'm
Because
just
you look
observing.
puzzled.
I'm not puzzled. It's just the way my face is.
Oh.
Trust me, I'll make a note if I have any questions.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to take my ruler now. I'm going to draw in the other dart leg to the mark, but the vanishing point means it's the end of the dart, like this. Now I'm sure that this is angled. See this? Right to the apex of the bust. Then I'm going to draw in the first dart leg from the dart at the waist to the apex, and then the second dart leg. And these dart legs should be equidistant from the center grain line. All right. This was my mark at the side seam, at the bottom of the tape of the form. I'm dropping the waist 1/4 inch at the side seam. The reason for that is, when you have a dress that has a waistline, we always drop the waistline of the waist 1/4 inch at the side seam. So, because we're working with woven fabric, this is not a knit. So when the person goes like this, they have the extra room and the seam doesn't tear. So we give the person an extra 1/4 inch at the side seam. So the first thing I'm going to do is join all the markings at the waist in the front to the dart. And then in order to complete the waist, I have to close the dart. So I'm going to crease the first dart leg that's closest to center front, move it over to the second dart leg, and pin it into place. Pin it first at the waist, then at the vanishing point or the end of the dart, then pin the rest of this dart into position.
Can I just ask you a question? Because
Sure.
in one of the other classes, and I thought you had done it in here once, that we learned, like, if you bend it here, then bring it over, it keeps it from puckering at the very end.
No.
No?
I didn't find that to be so. Okay, pin it into place. And now, we have to drop the waist to the vanishing point. 1/4 inch, like that. All right, at this point, we're going to join. This is the mark for right under the plate and side seam intersection. I'm going to join that to the drop at my waist. Now you can draw in. And let me tell you something else. You can see that those of you who drew the side seam in, it's not a straight line. Look, do you see it's angled? Like this. That's the side seam. On that side seam at the plate, in order for the armhole to accept the sleeve, I have to lower the armhole. So right at the plate, I'm coming down, 1 inch down. 1 inch down. And then I have to come out, 1/2 inch out. You make those marks, and then you join it to the drop at the waist. And this is my actual side seam. This is what you call the straight, the form body line. All right, now, my next step is I'm going to draw in the armhole. So you're going to take your armhole curve from the drop, and you're going to join, you're going to see, look at the markings. It hits the markings. This curve hits the markings of the armhole ridge, the level of the screw, and the drop, all in one. Now I'm going to close the shoulder dart. Crease the dart leg that's closest to center front. Crease that very sharply. Bring it over to the other dart leg on the shoulder. Place a pin to hold it in place. Then place a pin at the vanishing point of the dart and pin the rest of this dart into place. This is a deep dart. Complete the rest of the shoulder to the armhole ridge into one continuous line with the front. And now I'm going to reduce my seam allowance at the neck to 1/2 inch.